Welcome back after break, sixth graders. I understand that some of you didn't do anything over break, and so trying to remember how to do decimals might be a little tricky. So let me run you through some reminders with the study guide that has answers on it. This is under your quizzes tab right before your test, and hopefully this will refresh your memory so you can go back and fix your test or finish your test if you need to do that. Remember, when we deal with decimals and we deal with adding and subtracting decimals, we always have to line up the decimals. Super important. So when you have three decimals listed horizontally like this, you need to write them so that all the decimals line up, and that decimal goes straight into your answer. Once you get them all lined up, you simply add each number in a column, carry the 1 or carry the 2 if you need to the next column, and this is what you end up with. Now the directions said to estimate and then calculate. So some of you gave me an estimate. First number would round to 7, this would round to 5, this would round to 16, and 7 and 5 is 12, and 12 plus 16 would be 28. So an estimate's okay, but you also have to give the exact sum. So don't be mistaken when it's asking for an estimate and an exact sum. And notice our exact sum is pretty close to that. Remember that when you're subtracting decimals, I'm just going to rewrite this one. Again, you make sure to line up the decimal point. So everything is good to go. And once you get them lined up, you start to subtract. But remember, on the right-hand side here, you can't take 1 minus 7. 1 is smaller than 7. So you have to go to where you can regroup. So there isn't any here in the 0. There is some here in 5, so that can become a 4. You add that 10 next door, so that becomes a 10. But you got to take one of those 10s, so it's 9, because you have to add it here. So this end number becomes 11. So it's 11 minus 7 is 4. 9 minus 8 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. Don't forget the decimal. You can't take 3 minus 6, so you have to regroup again. That becomes an 8. You add the 10 to the 3. 13 minus 6 is 7. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring down your 6. So 637 and 214 thousandths. Down here, Colin put the following items in a shopping cart at the warehouse. It says in the first question, about how much money does Colin need to buy the supplies in his shopping cart? Well, about means we're probably going to estimate. So up here, I've estimated each amount, rounded those numbers, added them up, and got 90. So that's why I came up with my 90. The cashier said that Colin's order was $81.71. Could the cashier be correct? And I just said no. If our estimate's about 90, even if we rounded down every single time, we would still not get close to $81.71. Let's see. If Colin only had $60, what could he buy from his cart? Lots of different ways to answer this one. You just have to buy as many things as you can afford that gets you close to 60 without going over. Some things that I purchased were some dish detergent, laundry soap, bar soap, and paper towels. So the first items listed here. And that ended up $54.60. So that's an example of what he might be able to buy. Moving on, it says calculate the product. Product means we're multiplying. So remember, we don't have to line up decimals on when we're multiplying. But when we do this first one, 4.6 times 1.3, they just happen to line up, but they don't necessarily have to. When I do this, multiply them this way, I start with the 8, and I say 6 times 3 is 18, and I carry that 1. And then I do 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then I put down a placeholder and I move on to the 1. And 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 4 is 4. So that's where I get my two lines of multiplying that I add then together. And 8 plus 0 is 8, 6 plus 3 is 9, and 4 plus 1 is 5. The last thing I have to do is remember to count how many decimal points after each number. So 1 and 2, and that's how I know where to put my decimal, 1 and 2. In this one, 1.4 times 3.07, I prefer to put the one with more digits on top, and notice I did not line up the decimal points this time. I like to put the one with more decimal points on top, or digits on top, because then I only have to multiply by 2 different numbers. Makes it for less things to add up. So I start with the 4 right here, and I do 4 times 7 is 28. I put my 8 there, carry my 2, and then 4 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 3 is 12. That's my first line of multiplying. Then I move on to the second digit, put down my placeholder, and now I'm multiplying by the 1. And 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 3 is 3. And now I'm ready to add them up. 8 plus 0 is 8, 2 plus 7 is 9, 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 0 is 2, 1 plus 3 is 4. Remember, my final thing is to count how many places behind the decimal point. Well, this one's 1, 2, 3, and 1. 3 and 1 is 4. So I go in 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4.2098. That's how we multiply decimals. All right, number 6. Which division expression shown here has the same quotient as 1,972 divided by 34? Well, notice that's all the same numbers. Oops, it's all the same numbers. 1972 divided by 34. 1972 divided by 34. They just moved decimals and put decimals in there. Okay, so remember, if we were to divide out 1972 divided by 34, we get the number 58. Okay, well, one couple things to remember. The first number listed goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside. First number listed is the dividend. Second number listed is the divisor. Then remember, on the divisor, we don't want a decimal, so we're going to move it to the end of the number. It took us 2 places to do that, so we move this one to the end of the number, and then we rewrite it. And when we rewrite it, look what it looks like. It looks exactly like that one. So I know that I'm going to circle this one because I'm definitely going to get the same answer because it looks the exact same. In the second one, again, the first number listed, the dividend goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside. Remember, I'm going to move it 2 decimal places. And in this one, here's the decimal place. And so I move it 2 decimal places. When I rewrite it, it looks like this. That does not match that one. That one's different. So I'm not going to get the same answer. And the last one, again, first number listed goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside. That decimal point is way out here this time, so I need to move it 1, 2, 3 spots. And this one goes 1, 2, 3 spots. I rewrite it, and it looks like this. And what do you know? Looks exactly like that one. So A and C are going to match up. And that is us practicing how to divide a decimal by a decimal. All right, number 7 and 8, it says, place the decimal point in the quotient to make the division sentence true. I would prefer that you actually work this problem out so that you know how to do this for sure. Remember, first number listed goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside of the house. When we do that, I need to move that decimal to the end of the 8 and move the decimal on the inside. So when I rewrite it, it looks like this. Now, if I know this is going to be my answer, I don't have to do too much thinking. Okay, I know the first number is going to be a 3, and I know 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract, you get 0. Bring down your 6. 8 goes into 6 0 times. 0 times 8 is 0. Subtract and you still get 6. Bring down your next 0. 8 goes into 60 70 times, or 7 times, sorry. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract, you get 4. Bring down the last 0. 8 goes into 45 times. All along, my decimal point was here when I rewrote my answer, so therefore it goes there in my final answer. Same thing with number 8. Remember, the first number listed goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside. For this 16, I need to move it 2 places to get to the end. So 2 places to get it to the end. Rewrite it, and it looks like this. I already know these are going to be the digits up here. I just need to know where the digits go. So this 2, where does this 2 go? Should it go above the 4? Does 16 go into 4? No, 16 goes into 47, so it has to go above the 7. Very important for that. Then 16 times 2 is 32. Subtract and you get 15. Bring down your 8, and 16 goes into 158 9 times. And then notice the decimal's right next to it. From this point, I don't even have to go on any further. I know it's going to be 29 point. So this is all about, do you know where to put that decimal? Are you putting it in the right spot? All right, and our last 2 problems are same, practicing those division skills. So again, remember, first number listed goes in the house, second number listed goes on the outside, and we don't want 2.5, so we're going to move it to the end, and we rewrite it so it looks like this: 61 divided by 25. Well, 25 goes into 61 2 times. 2 times 25 is 50. Subtract and you get 11. Bring down your 0. Don't forget that decimal point. 25 goes into 110 4 times. 4 times 25, think money, is 100. 110 minus 100 is 10. Bring down that last 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times, so 2.44. Same thing on the last one. First number listed goes in the house. Second number listed goes on the outside. We want to move this decimal to the end, move this decimal over, and rewrite it. Looks like this. Okay, and then 2 goes into 18, or excuse me, 8 goes into 19 2 times, and 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract and get 3, bring down the 4. 8 goes into 34 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. Subtract and get 2. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 22 times. Don't forget the decimal. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract and you get 4. Bring down that last 0. And 8 goes into 45 times. So it's 24.25. All right, so not every single problem had decimals in the inside and in the outside, so you have to, practice a couple without. Let's look at just 2 of them without. Let's do this problem right here. 9 is the divisor and 693 is the dividend. So remember our does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? That should be very familiar to you by now. And we start with the divide. And 9 can't go into 6, but 9 can go into 69 7 times. 7 times 9 is 63. Then that was the multiply. Then subtract. 9 minus 3 is 6. Check to make sure 6 is smaller than 9. Bring down the 3. And 9 goes into 63 7 times. And 9 times 7 is 63. Your answer would be 77. All right. Sometimes you have remainders. Let's take 169 divided by 3. We start with the D for division. 3 goes into 16 5 times. We multiply 5 times 3 to get 15. We subtract to get 1. We check to make sure 1's smaller than 3. We bring down the 9, and 3 goes into 9 8 times, and 8 times 3, oh, no it doesn't, that's too much. 3 goes into 9 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Now, we could have a remainder, or we also learned that we could keep going. Now, to keep going, I would have to add a decimal here. So a decimal to my answer, and then I could add a 0. And then I can keep going. And 3 goes into 10 3 times, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then you subtract and you get 1. Still have a remainder. I could bring down that 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times, and 3 times 3 is 9. Uh-oh, what do you see happening here? And I get 1. I can bring down another 0. I think this is going to keep going, isn't it? 10, 10, 10. So what we call, then it would be a repeating 3. We aren't going to have any repeating ones, but do know that sometimes you can add a decimal and then a 0 and then keep going. All right, I hope this little bit of a review has helped refresh your memory on what we've been doing with decimals. Now please go back and fix your test or finish your test on paper and hand